Hey everyone, it's Ryan from the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show coming at you from the Smoking Studios tonight. Welcome to another Thursday night show. We got a little bit of a different show tonight. We're actually going to be focusing on an accessory, and it was one that was given to me back in March at the Great Smoke by Dan, who's on the show. And he was super kind about it. Somebody had mentioned that I had a show, and he gave it to me. He goes, play with it, see what you like, see what you don't like. Here's my card. Give me your feedback on it. And I'll be very honest with you. I use this thing quite a bit and all the time, actually, every day. And so, but we'll get into that here a little bit later on. But first, we've got to actually say a big thank you to all the sponsors that remotely make this show happen. All right. So first, we have BAMF Cigars, ROCF Cigars, Kristoff Cigars, K by Karen, Berger Cigars, Sagrado Cigars. We've got New Air Humidor. Check the description below for a 15% off promo code for their humidors. Micallef Cigars, Big Sky Cigars, Cornell and Diehl pipe tobacco, as well as La Aurora Cigars, and of course, we can absolutely never forget Axe and the Oak whiskey. Tonight, I'm going to be drinking the rye. But before I tell you what I am smoking, let's go ahead and bring in our guest and see what the hell it is they are smoking. How you doing, Dan?
Good, Ryan. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, my friend. I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on tonight.
I'm happy to be here. I do have to say right off the bat that if you see me waving, it's because the flies are so bad here in Idaho right now and I'm outside. So just forgive my sporadic movements. Plus, my dog is beside me. I'm trying to protect him from the flies as well. So just keep that in mind.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. Hey, before we get into who you are and moving forward, let's just go ahead and kick off the show tonight with our segment from Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. And that is, what are you smoking tonight? Dan, I will let you go first.
Oh, Jesus. This is... So my partner, Mark Ciccarello, he is a cigar collector. So he has, I'm going to guess, he can correct you if I'm wrong, he probably at this point has $600,000 worth of cigars, right? So it was his birthday yesterday. He left a bag of cigars, which I believe he gave me permission to smoke. So I'm going to say I don't fully know what I'm smoking right now. I just know it's a rare Cohiba. That's all I know. It's a rare Cuban Cohiba.
Show us the band. Ah, very nice.
Do you know what this is?
I do not. Anybody watching right now, throw some
let me
in
know.
The comments.
He's going to be annoyed that I'm not going to know the year and whatnot. But I don't. But what's nice about it is that so many of these old Cohibas, Cuban Cohibas that he has, have mad construction issues. And the draw on this, the construction's perfect. So I feel like I got lucky.
Yeah, Cubans are notorious for about 20% of the box being non-smokable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tonight I will be smoking the Mi Querida Tricky Traca from Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Absolutely fantastic cigar. So thank you so much. And absolutely, Steve, love you, buddy. Thank you so much for all the support you've shown this show. And looking forward to having you on before the end of the year. So let's go ahead and start this off, Dan. I'm going to give you the screen here, and I would like you to introduce yourself. As you are a company that's about 2 years old now, 3 years old now, maybe a lot of the cigar community hasn't heard of you, hasn't heard of Ciccar. I know I didn't until March, and I'm very grateful that you were friendly enough to let me have one and play with it.
You're easy to be friendly to, bud. You're not, you know what I mean? Like, you're a good dude. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So the floor is yours. I'm going to be sharing the show across social media. So I'm going to give you the entire screen. I'll be back.
All right. So what Ciccar is, it's an accessory that allows you to finish your entire cigar without hassle, especially when you're dealing. I mean, this is probably $150 cigar. I'm not smoking these all the time, and I know all of you are not smoking that level of cigar all the time. But you have your cigars that you love, and you have your cigars that you care about and that you want to finish. Most of those good cigars end up getting better and better and better as you get further down. So that's the purpose of the Ciccar. That's how it was born, was through a conversation about how can we get the most out of our good cigars without a poker, without something that many can see as tacky. We want something classy, made of high quality materials. So what I'm going to show you, well, the one I have on my cigar right now, this is the Maple Burl, and this is actually what I gave to Ryan. It ages really well at patinas. It lasts forever. So we are only a little after 1 year mark. So we're still really, really new. There's a lot of the cigar industry that doesn't know who we are. And we're looking forward to getting to know you and helping you understand what this can do. All right. It's not something that's for everybody, but it is something that works incredibly well, and it does what it's supposed to do. All right. So let me show you a couple things. One is, I just want to make clear, this is a silicone piece that goes here, not here. All right. On the inside, oh, that's perfect. You can see that tapers. That tapers from a 38 to a 58 ring gauge. And this material here is the Tiger's Eye stone. So what this can do, it's absolutely beautiful. Every piece is very unique, but it can get a little hotter. So what I actually do, if I use the Tiger's Eye, I go ahead and put the ring magnet accessory. So I'm going to move this so you can see my little table here. All right. The ring magnet just sticks on anything. So this was originally developed with golfers in mind, but I keep mine on all the time, and I use it on my patio, oftentimes on my patio. It also helps with construction issues. So that's a big one. So if you get a cigar that you split, have you done this, Ryan?
Oh, yes. No, this is what you're talking about now is probably my number one most favorite aspect. And in my opinion, the biggest selling aspect of the Ciccar.
I agree. I have saved
100%.
I have saved dozens of cigars. Dozens. Apparently I'm rough on my cigars because, like, I've got my box, it's like the 15 count. And if you have like 5 in there, well, they'll bang around a little bit. And once in a while you get, some issues you got to take care of. This makes it to where it's not ballooning in your mouth as you smoke it. Nothing like that. You pop it right on. Good to go. The other thing that people use it for a lot is sometimes maybe you have, well, this is a good example. You have a special cigar, right? You have a special cigar that you want other people to be able to try, but you're not super keen on sharing the germs between people. You can actually either, everyone has their own Ciccar, you take the cigar out and put it in there, or you just take off this silicone part and put a fresh one on there. And the kit comes with 5 of them. They're super cheap. You can get more of them. But I go ahead and put that on there, and then you can share cigars with your buddies.
Now, I want to ask you a question about something that I actually have been thinking about for probably a month after you gave this thing to me. So probably about April. I think you guys should come out with a bachelor's pack or a groomsman's pack is more or less what I'm thinking about.
And
where
what would
you can get engraved up to, say, 10 in your groomsman. Maybe my father-in-law wants one. My father wants one. And I got 5 guys standing. There's 7. Maybe I got a couple extra brothers I'd want to throw one too.
Yeah, we do that.
And then do like I looked on your website. I didn't see like a group buy thing to where I can engrave everyone's name on it. And
that's going to be,
completely miss that.
No, you didn't miss it because it's not on the website. It's just people have asked about it, and we've done it for people. It's just not on the website yet. I think the reality is that the website needs some work. It needs some organization. I think that's obvious. But we're getting there,
Yeah, I just think that would be awesome. And then you guys could, get on registries or stuff like that. And like, because this is, and I've said this when talking with other people, when it comes to cigar accessories, okay, there's a tons of variations of what this does, whether it be a poker, whether it be, a nail that somebody wants to put through for their own makeshift
or
one.
even I saw like pinchers almost.
Yeah,
you seen those?
roach clips, like roach clips.
Well, yeah, basically. Yeah.
The giant cigar roach clips.
Yeah.
The thing I love about this is it actually looks nice.
Me too.
It doesn't destroy the cigar from the standpoint of, I have used a poker so many times and I've had the cigar completely fall apart. Before we go any further, Bruce would like to know what the website is.
Yeah, the website and the Instagram, it's Ciccar Life. So ciccarlife.com is the website. Ciccar Life's the Instagram. I'm running that. So if you have any questions, go ahead and send me a direct message and I'll get back to you.
Now, this thing serves much more purposes than just a poker. And anytime I've used a poker, I've had to repoke because it becomes squishy, or maybe
I've never used a poker.
They're a pain in the ass. So like using a
never
punch,
used one.
It's just a pain in the ass. But one thing that I actually have started doing just every now and then, even though it's not necessarily positioned as this, is what you're doing now, start to finish. And even in the half wheel video, your partner says it's more of a nub tool, but some people do go start to finish with the cigar with it.
I don't always, but if I'm out like this, I like to have it on because I'll set my cigar on my, you know what I mean, on my patio furniture and stuff. It just makes it so easy and manageable. I actually find that I put it on early or for the whole cigar when I'm a little busy or when I'm like kind of doing some stuff. Because then I can set it. I didn't even show the holder. This is an aluminum holder. And so then I can just go ahead and set it there, read my book, do my, I'm a photographer too. So I'm editing photos a lot. And so I can go ahead and have a spot for that. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do the same thing. You're smoking and something,
Now I do have to hand it to you guys. The tapering on this thing is like perfect. I've dropped this like on my carpet here in my office, and it's not even falling off. Like I said, I can't say it enough. For a cigar accessory, now I'll be very honest with everybody out here. The accessory itself is $100. Then you could buy the additional RGB or lit stand, which is this. Let me turn it on. Oh, there it goes. And so when you have it in, it turns a color. And then when you take it out, it starts changing more colors. Now, I think the entire kit that you gave me was $150, right? I know that sounds like a little pricey to some people. How do you answer that question? And then I'll tell you why I think that it's actually a good value.
I answer that question honestly and through experience. The amount of cigars, I regularly finish my cigars to 3/4 of an inch. And that's without thinking about it. Before the Ciccar, I was probably, it would vary, but I was probably leaving 1.5 inches of my cigar. Because I get tired of managing it and I'm done with it, and that's fine. And then the cigars that have been, have had construction issues, I have saved dozens of those. So if I were just a consumer, I would have paid for that Ciccar within a month. So that's that's my rebuttal to the cost of the item. Plus, we put a shitload of research and development into this and use high-end materials that are going to last.
I love that.
Right? Yeah.
Now, for all the reasons, was your rebuttal, or all the reasons I would say to buy the damn thing for? Because you're 100% right. I've thrown away cigars where you're constantly, it's sticking to your lip because the cap broke, and you're like, I just want to have a good time. I don't want to fight. I'm just going to go get something different. Something like this, you now could take that $10, $15, heck, heaven forbid, $20 cigar that's not smoking right, and you saved it. So I think by the common person using it on a $10 cigar once a month, within 3 months, they've gotten all their money back, because there's not a single heavy cigar smoker that's 2 to 3 to 4 cigars a day that could honestly look at me and go, yeah, I never have a broken cap. Or,
you know what else?
No, yeah.
What else?
Never.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? I've found that there are times, when you're hanging out and you're like, shit, I'm pretty much finished with this cigar, but I don't quite have enough time for another cigar. Well, just being able to finish that to half an inch oftentimes means that you're not lighting that second cigar either.
Yes.
And I've run into that a number of times. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because every cigar smoker knows how to make that final 3/4 to an inch last that extra 45 minutes when your wife's like, let me know when you're done with your cigar. You're like, shit, I'm down to the band. I got to make this thing last. No, let me go get the cigar. No, babe, I got at least another 45 on this thing.
Yeah. Yep.
But as far as, woodworking's a hobby of mine. I've done a lot of woodworking, both with my dad, my granddad, in school, and just privately and personally. Wood turning is something that I love. I started my woodworking passion making wooden bowls and plates and cups, and I've used a lot of burl. Because I've made a lot of pens out of burl. Yeah. And I could tell anybody watching, it's absolutely high quality. I have also seen the stone when I was at TGS. The burl that he gave me, let me just get a little closer. I'm going to get away from the mic here for a sec. I mean, it is absolutely as beautiful, as knotty as you would expect a grade A burl to look like. And the craftsmanship on it it's very nice. It's super smooth, and just overall an absolutely fantastic, well-made device. How much R&D and how much work went into making this?
I think we went through 10 iterations, back and forth, over and over. We probably tried out 10 different stones and 15 different woods to get to what we have today. We tried all kinds of stuff. But we, as you know, as a woodworker, we discovered that anything with a grain was going to get hot and cold and split. So it had to be a dense, high quality burl. Yeah.
Correct. Which is why they use it for pipes and everything else. And now, again, I can't speak to the heat that the stone, but again, just being very honest and truthful, I have heard that the stone heats up a little bit more than what the burl does.
It does. It heats up a lot more.
Okay.
Some people, it heats up a lot more. With the stone, I think I mentioned before, but I just keep the magnetic ring on it. So when it is down in the tube down here, then I just have the ring on it and I use it that way. Some people just appreciate the beauty of the stone. The texture is different. So it actually, I found that it means that you can fit a larger ring gauge in the stone because there's less resistance. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I say it caps out at 58 ring gauge, but people have sent me photos and stuff where they're like, I have a 60 ring gauge cigar and it fit in this. I just don't want to claim that because it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah. I am not a big ring gauge smoker. 60's big. 60's big for me. I'll smoke a 60, but that's as big as I'm willing to go. I will say I have put a 60 in this a couple of times, just to shrink it down to where it's not obnoxious feeling in my mouth.
Yes. And I love that because maybe, you know what I mean? If you're not into bigger ring gauges, it still makes it to where the mouthpiece, I actually don't know the exact ring gauge, but it's probably 36, 38. What do you think?
Are you talking about this?
Just the part that goes in your mouth.
Oh, that's probably a 48 to a 50. That's, what is that, 3/4 of an inch?
Oh, no,
Half
because it
inch?
tapers all the way down to a 38. So
No,
the
no,
part
no,
that's
I'm
in your
taking
teeth.
just this mouthpiece. Well, yeah, the
Oh,
hole.
I got you.
The hole, but when I'm putting that in, that's not a Lancero size. That's about a 48. But that's
Okay.
there's no issues with that. You know, because I mean, well, just measure. Just measure it.
Yeah.
What is it? The first one on your.
There we
So
go.
you figure that's probably about a half inch. So
Yeah.
or God, I know that's bigger than a Lancero. I could get a Lancero out. I would say that external has got to be, I would say 45 to 50 ring gauge. I would say 45 to 50, somewhere in there. Yeah.
This is about a 40 ring gauge.
Okay.
Yep.
Either way, it tapers it down considerably.
So the other thing that, this is completely subjective, but it's feedback that I've gotten unsolicited, which is that for whatever reason, maybe because there's air inside the Ciccar between the cigar and your mouth, I don't know what it is, but it opens up the flavor. It doesn't change it. It just opens it up. It gives it a little more nuance. And I don't know if you've discovered that at all, but and maybe that's just for the, you know, the real aficionados or whatever it may be. But it just does something kind of nice with the flavor.
Okay, so I take it back. My eyeing of that size was absolutely wrong. So here's a box press Lancero 38. Well, actually, this is a 40. So yeah, you're probably very close, 40, 42, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Right on. So
with the silicone on there, yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole lot better than a 60. Either way you look at it.
Well, you know what we have too? I don't think we have it in distribution yet, but we have something that goes up to a 72 ring gauge.
Well, you know what? I'll be impressed when you make one for the Woody.
For what's the Woody?
Oh, you haven't heard of the Woody. That's Oscar Valadares's 120 ring gauge by 24.
Oh my God.
120 ring gauge by 24.
I mean, you need a steak knife. Like, that is like.
I have a buddy that mine that was at PCA. He's a lounge owner here in Denver. Took him 8 hours to get to the band. And he goes, my jaw hurt.
Not even once, sir. Not even once.
So no, honestly, when we get off the show tonight, dude, just for shits and giggles, look it up. You could beat somebody with this thing. Like it's,
you know, at
like
the PCA,
bucks.
Yeah, at the PCA, I did see some people actually smoking the footballs. You know, Fuente has. Yeah, I saw some people. It just seems incredibly intrusive. You know.
Well, you probably also saw some of the JFR Lunatic 10x100s.
I did not.
Going around.
I did not.
Those were all the rage. A lot of people had pictures of them and everything. So,
wow.
Well, I tell you what, since we're talking about PCA, oh, here we go.
Wow.
It took him 7.5 hours.
It was a good flavor, Bruce. Like it had, yeah, I guess so.
Bruce, I can tell you this thing works great on a Lancero. That was one of the first things I tried it on because I actually questioned Dan at the TGS. I didn't believe him that it would work on a Lancero. So the first thing I did was get back to when I got home because my buddy Vince picked it up off the table as they were clearing the table off. And I thought somebody stole it. And then he left for a cruise. And then he ended up going, oh yeah, I found this just extra Ciccar at our table. I'm like, you dumb nut. That's mine. Send it over. first thing I did was hook up a Lancero to it, and I was proven wrong. It works very well. I can't speak to box press anything other than box press Lanceros. I was able to make the box press Lancero work. I think I tried with the box press before and I didn't get the right seal.
Here's what's going on with the box press. With the box press, you need to smoke it down enough to where it's warm and pliable, to where it's capable of rounding out in the tube.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't start a box press in the Ciccar, but once it's warmed up, most of them are going to be, you know how some cigars, they're just really hard. You might have a box press that's just too dense to round out, but most of the time, once it's softened up a little bit, it'll go right in there.
Now, do you recommend licking the cigar before the twist to add a little bit more friction?
I always do. I think you actually, I mean, it sounds gross, but it is what it is. I slobber on it a little bit, and then I get that good seal. This is not sexy talk, I know that, but like, then I get that seal. But then you really don't want to take it out after that because it'll seal so well that if you try to take it out after that, the cap will probably stay inside. Yes. And that's how good the seal is. Yeah.
I actually have experienced that. Where I just played around with it. It came out, took the cap with it, but then I just put it back in, twisted it tight, and smoked it again. So it worked out fine. Like I said, I think this thing is fun. It's unique. It is a gimmick. I mean, let's be honest. It's not a requirement, but for those people that want that little bit extra of, in my opinion, elegance to their cigar world, on top of the ability to literally eat the ash out of the Ciccar and get 100% of your cigar. You know, like you made a really good point earlier. You know, if you take a $6 cigar and you don't smoke the last inch and a half, you just threw away $1.50. You know, so if you take that and multiply that, you know, to a $15 cigar, and now your inches cost more, in the period of a couple of months, you've already paid for the Ciccar just in the ability to be able to finish. And I personally think the final third of a cigar is the best part of the cigar.
Dude, this thing is getting absolutely transcendent. Like, this cigar is so good. I hope somebody can let us know exactly what it is. Obviously, they're not going to know the year, but oh my God, dude, it's so good. So good.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the Cuban world. I've had I don't know, 5, 6 of them. Couple Partaguses, couple Cohibas. So, well, you brought up PCA. I know last year, I don't know how well you guys did at PCA. I just know that, you know, in the Half Wheel article I read this year is that essentially you guys weren't there the last day. Totally common for manufacturers. But how was your PCA this year? Was it worthwhile? Was last year's not as good in comparison of this year?
Well, I mean, the first year was like, you know, let's see how the industry reacts. That's really what that was about, is let's get people over here and see what people think. So the response was so heartening because people, Rob from Boveda, he's not with Boveda anymore, but he came up, same thing over and over, where people are like, man, this looks like a gimmick, but they're willing to hear us out. And then by the time they leave, they're like, holy shit, this is really cool. Like, it's a new way to experience your cigar. And Rob had a great, like, 15-minute, you know, thing about the Ciccar and had nothing negative to say about it. And so if industry leaders like that are saying, like, hey, it does exactly what we're saying that it does. If you're interested in that, then you want the Ciccar. And if you're not, that's okay. It's not going to be for everybody, in the same way that cigars are not for everybody. But people that love cigars really, really love cigars.
Correct.
And that's what I'm finding with the Ciccar, is that people that use them all the time, and they will use them for the rest of their lives.
Well, like I said, when I first got this thing, because I'm pretty sure Vince, Vince, or one of his buddies was at the table, um, and when he showed it to me, I'm like, I don't know that I would use it. And you and I talked, and I'm like, okay, let me take it. I use it all the time. Like, I found myself shockingly reaching for it out of habit to put my cigar in, just like this. Like, I already know where it is.
Yeah.
Like, I never did that with a poker. I honestly always forgot about the poker. I actually look forward to smoking the end of the cigar in this thing. Like, it's like having a nice lighter, a nice case, a nice cigar, a nice glass, a nice holder.
Yeah. This is something that Rob touched on too. And as we go further into the show, this is going to get lower and lower. And the reality is that I'm not going to have to think about it. I can go ahead and have this conversation and be engaged with you and not manage my cigar. And that was one of Rob's favorite parts about it, is that he's like, I'm not managing it. I can smoke it to the bitter end. I can smoke ash out of this thing, and I don't have to think about it.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm always impressed by how small the cigar is. And the first time I was like, oh, it doesn't look like it's actually that small. When I popped it out, it was like, boy, in high school, I got pretty good at and taking it down to the fingers, but I don't even know if I can get that low. But so tell us again. So what was this year's PCA as your second year? Now more people kind of know you. You've been to different shows throughout the country. You were at the Great Smoke. So tell us what your second year at PCA was. What was your expansion like, and kind of where do you see your guys's for next year?
I think something that was helpful about the second year was that the industry got to see us show up again, deepening those relationships. I'm going to talk about the industry in general, and we talked about this a little bit before we were on air, but I love this industry. I love the people that I meet in this industry. I want to be friends with them. Like I like so many genuine people, from such a variety of walks of life, but they have this weird thing in common, and it's such a bonding agent. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So to me, I'm a relationship person. I love relationships. I love relationships far more than business. I care about relationships more than business, more than success. And so to have both is great. So in terms of just business, making more sales, one of the problems that we're running into is that we get so much inquiry to be in other countries, and we're not quite set up and ready to do that. But we get emails from people in Europe, people in Canada, all over the world, like, hey, how can we distribute here? So we're still working on that, and I think that'll be that's a primary goal over the next couple of years.
I think that, to me, that makes sense. I thought this thing was European to begin with, in the sense that you see a lot more European with the cigarette holders and stuff like that. That doesn't shock me that this is going to definitely take off inside the international market. I think probably bigger than what it'll take off in the U.S.
I think so too.
What we have here in the U.S. is, let's be honest, outside of cutter, lighter, ashtray, the cigar world hasn't seen many accessories like it has in the last 10 years. And I think you have the younger generation, like us, coming in, and even younger than me, that look at stuff like this and go, man, that's awesome. And you have some of maybe the older population that's like, oh, I've been smoking a cigar with my lips for 40 years. It's fine. And those aren't the people that you're ever trying to win over,
No, I don't want to have to convince anybody.
Correct. And if you have to convince them, they might buy it and not use it. And that
doesn't
help you either.
No.
But where I think this would be very popular is in the 45 under. Or ladies. to be very honest with you. And in fact, I'm going to talk to you after the show. I'd love to hook you up with Sisters of the Leaf Global Movement, and maybe you guys can put something together, because my wife likes this thing. I mean, she has tried it. She's not used it like I have, but she's tried it when I had. She goes, "Oh, that's nice. That's actually really nice." So I think there's like a whole boom there with the younger population. So as somebody that was in marketing for 8 years of my life, my adult career, what are you trying to do, and how are you going about marketing to this, and what age group are you marketing to?
Well, I think you're absolutely correct. For the most part, it's going to be even down into, the 20-year-olds to 45. It's going to be sort of that group. Not to say that I have had some like old school dudes. One of my best buddies, his name's George. He's 80. He's been smoking cigars for like 60 years, and he smokes with the Ciccar all the time now.
Yeah,
but it took a little while.
You'll have you'll have your old people that use Facebook and Instagram and do phones. I think in the golf population,
huge.
This thing is a shoe. I don't care how old you are, and you might never touch it outside of the golf course.
A lot of people do that. Yep.
Also, what you sell it for.
Yep. A lot of people do that, where they have it in their golf bag.
Exactly.
They golf 2 or 3 times a week. They use it every time they golf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got sidetracked. What was the question?
How are you focusing on, because so much of this product is demonstrate. You have to demonstrate it to really understand. As you and I know, we both know somebody that literally had to be demonstrated with. Definitely go check out Bradley Reith's review of this. It's a very honest, fair review. But Absolutely. He actually did, with no looking into the product, something that actually shocked me. And I'll let you explain what he did and kind of how you're marketing to show the demonstration of it. But go check out Best Cigar Reviews, and you could check out Brad's review on the Ciccar. And but anyways, go ahead. Tell us how you're marketing to a younger population, bringing in a brand new product.
So my role right now is this kind of stuff, PR stuff, whatever it may be, answering questions on Instagram, social media. I'm a photographer, so I'm doing all the photography for that. On the other end is Dustin and Tyson. They're working heavily into the affiliate program. So we've got like Mario Lopez did a spot. Industry review. I'm getting that wrong, which I should.
Mario Lopez, AC Slater.
Yeah, buddy, he fucking loves it.
I didn't even know he was a cigar guy.
He's a big cigar guy. He's big into Rocky Patel, actually. Yeah.
All right.
But you know what's fun is that he was not on my radar before he promoted Ciccar, but now I'm starting to follow him, and I really like him. Like, he's a good dude. He's got a
great personality.
He's so like intimate with his family, and like I like him a lot. He's driven, big BJJ guy. So on Dustin and Tyson's side, it's getting into the PGA Tour, getting athletes involved, getting if Michael Jordan's listening,
I was gonna say,
let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know, man.
Michael Jordan's listening. You better comment and let me know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that seems to be the avenue that's working really well for us. Yeah.
So and that's right. Like that's kind of where, we mentioned it before the show. That's kind of where I see a product like this taking off is in the affiliate, because the affiliate's going to show how to use it. The affiliate's going to be using it. Now, if you're not an athlete, if you're just a guy that likes to promote things and say, I love this, can the everyday lounge goer be in any way affiliated in that program? All right.
Sorry, I got you back now.
Nope. Yeah. Because it's an affiliate program, are you letting the everyday lounge goer that's like, hey, I'm going to talk this thing up at lounges. Maybe I sell a couple a month, or a couple a week. Are you letting them be part of that, or is it a closed
Absolutely.
program?
No, it's not. Yeah, we have a lot of people either with maybe small to medium range followings on social media, whatever it may be. Yeah, we're letting, if people are interested and they want to do it, we're giving them the opportunity.
So how do they get that opportunity? Do they reach out to you on your Instagram?
They can actually go to the website, and there's an affiliate link. So they can go on there and fill that out.
Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see the affiliate link.
That's right.
So that's fantastic. So walk us through how did you meet your business partners? Were you guys just sitting around one day and you broke a bottle and shoved a cigar into it and were like, that works. Let me make that into actually a useful thing. Like, was essentially what I'm saying, was it an accident? Was somebody just kind of fucking around and said, hey, look what I just did?
No. Ryan, the flow of life is fascinating. I've loved cigars for, I want to say, maybe 15 years now. So as a result, you develop a community within the cigar community. I think that 90% of my close friends are cigar smokers at this point. And it's just cigar shops are such a wonderful place to meet good people. And it's I lived in New York for 8 or 9 years as a fashion photographer. And, a lot of those years I was broke. But I still went to the cigar shop, edited photos, smoked. I smoked the New World for a long time because it was still, even in New York, it was like $7, and it's still so good. So I love cigars. And in 2019, I got married. And in 2020, we moved back to my hometown of Boise, Idaho, and met Mark Ciccarello. I had met him before, but we became friends. We started working out together and traveled to, Italy for a month. But he was in this really interesting position where he had a kratom company called Hush that he sold for a lot of money. Now he's a business person and he loves cigars. So he was like sitting around. I wasn't there, but he was sitting around with Tobin Rogers, another buddy. And he's like, man, I wish there was a classy way to finish these high-end cigars. And Tobin's like, well, make it happen. He's like, well, I'm gonna. He loves a challenge. So we started just brainstorming, and he really, you were talking about mentors before we were on air, and he was such a mentor to me and invested so much time and money and energy because I'm not a business person. I'm an artist, man. I don't like, money tends to be like the last thing on my mind. And I learned a lot, and he brought me in, gave me a share of the company, gave me a role that fit. So that's kind of how that began. And I feel, so grateful to him,
Well, it certainly is a very elegant way to finish the cigar off. So how quick from that conversation where, hey, you should just create something, to proof of concept to go to market?
He's fast. I think he's fast. I think it was 6 months.
Now, how much of this were you involved in the virgin stages of?
A lot. I was involved in testing all the new pieces, figuring out what works. I think the first piece was literally just a straight tube. And then we had to figure out, how does this feel good in the mouth? How do we, what materials? He trusted me a lot. Yeah. So heavily involved at the beginning, and working on all I love, photography. So working on all the visuals and making it sleek and sexy and honest, you know? Yeah.
So what did you do before Ciccar? By
Just
the way, I love
photography.
saying that.
Ciccar.
Like it almost sounds like you should be able to kill somebody with it. You should come out with like a spring-loaded, like carry style version.
I'll let him know.
Like as soon as you put it in there, you hit a button, it just cuts it for you. Like that would be awesome. Obviously, totally.
Here's the way it worked. To my own detriment, I am an artist. Meaning, you were in marketing for 8 years, you said, right? Well, I could have really used you because marketing is my least favorite thing to do with myself. There's something so intimate and personal about your art, right? And it's really hard to keep getting on the phone. Hey, I'm Dan. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a photographer. I'm one of a million photographers, but you really want me for these reasons. So I just didn't do well with that. But I did well with my personal relationships and I did well with my art. If you guys want to see it, it's DanielRosenthalNYC.com. Same as my Instagram. And I truly, there were times when the struggle of my profession was absolutely heartbreaking. And I think that's valuable. And I look back now and I'm actually really grateful that I wasn't a huge success. I think when people look at my work, they'll say like, no, you're like, I shot Sarah Jessica Parker and David Harbour from Stranger Things. Like, I have that stuff in my portfolio, but I don't have the cover of Vanity Fair. And my ego really wanted to be the best. And I feel really blessed that I wasn't. I feel really blessed to be where I'm at. And my identity is not wrapped into any of that stuff anymore, And as a result, the flow of life brought me Mark Ciccarillo and all these other people in the cigar industry. And we've, gotten a personal tour from our tour at a Tura Fuente factory. You know what I mean? It's just a wonder. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Life's beautiful.
No, it sounds like you're living your best life right now, my friend.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of my friends. Well, most of my friends, I didn't go to college. I found out real quick I was making more than most of my friends with college degrees in sales. So I just decided to stay out of college and not have that debt. But a lot of my friends went to school for art. Now, you didn't go to school for art specifically.
I went 1 year.
Yeah, but you got your degree in psychology. Yeah. But deep down inside, you always wanted to do that photography background for yourself, correct?
Correct. Well, kind of. I mean, I didn't know I had any artistic ability until the end of my senior year, my psychology bachelor's degree. But once I got that camera, it was just like, oh baby, this is cool, man. I get to create, And I feel the same way about Ciccar. Like, we got to create something new and beautiful, and it's I like it.
Well, I love how. What did you shoot? Did you only shoot portrait? Did you shoot stills? Did you shoot like fruit or not? You know what I'm talking about.
Primarily portrait. I dabbled in product. I think that's fun too. It's just a different modality. But I just love people. And I actually found that because I loved people in the general sense, from kids to old people to women, anybody that has a story written on their face, I love that. But what it did in the New York culture is that I didn't have a specific enough intention. And that played to my detriment, which I don't care now. You know what I mean? I did for a while. But I shot a lot of fashion, mostly fashion.
Well, a little bit you're still in the art business because what this is a work of art. I mean, like I said, I've sat here and just stared at the burl that you guys use. Like it's just very nice. Again, it's a perfect image of what I would expect a piece of burl to look like. I've seen your stone ones as well. They're very, very nice. I love how light the burl is. The stones do have a little bit more weight, if I remember correctly. And so you're still definitely in art. You're just now shooting photography to sell a different form of art. And that's this cigar art, if you want to kind of put it like that. We have a question here from Bruce. So Bruce, which is better, stone or wood? Now that's probably a loaded question, and it's probably a question that's going to be better solved on, do you want it to be a little hotter potentially, or do you want it to be a little heavier potentially? How would you answer that question?
Number one, you would just aesthetics. Like when you look at it, is the wood, is the stone more beautiful enough to where you're okay with a little more heat when the cigar's in the tube? And then also with the stone, if you drop it on the pavement, it will break. So if you're okay with that, go with the stone. If it's, some people love it. I prefer the wood. I don't have to worry about dropping it, That's about it.
So, Bruce, for you, I would recommend probably the wood. I think you would like it a little bit better. Definitely the dropping thing. You're in Michigan, and you probably smoke out in the snow, and it might be a little icy. Where are the stone ones on the website?
Go to the Ciccar pieces that you were on. Click on that.
Oh, select options.
Yeah, there it is. So there's going to be different photos here. Where do you click through those? Stone. Oh, we are out of stone. Click on the yellow tiger's eye there.
Oh, there you go. So there's a stone. And you could see, like, it's all just absolutely gorgeous product. Now what I have is this one, more or less.
Yeah, the natural.
Yeah. But mine's got a lot more burliness to it. So definitely,
but also it patinas, or what's the word for pipes?
Yeah, patina.
Cures. Yeah. Over time it gets darkens up a lot.
Yep. So definitely, Bruce, for you, if you were to ask me which one I think you should get, I think you should go with the wood. I think it'll be a better fit for you. It'll be lighter for you in your pocket. You are pretty clumsy. And by the way, no, he said that, not me. Clumsy. So what's the advantage and disadvantage of the resin? Great question.
It's purely aesthetic.
Now, why have the resin? Because I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't use this without the tip.
Yeah.
It is not comfortable. It doesn't sit like a pipe in your mouth.
No, it's I keep the tip on it.
Yeah.
All the time, for sure.
So maybe, Bruce, the resin you wouldn't probably see as much as if you always have the tip on. I was not a big fan of it without the tip, and it seemed to be the kind of the understanding and the consensus from what I've talked to other people that use it. They're like, it's the greatest thing in the world, but you got to have the rubber tip because it does make a big difference for how the bite. And Bruce is a pipe smoker, so he'll understand what I mean. The bite of it, Bruce, is not as comfortable without usable, smokable, not as comfortable as with the tip. So let's kind of walk through a little bit. You had brought up some of your mentors. Now you've obviously led an interesting life in the fashion and the photography shooting, and I assume it was in New York City, as that's where NYC. Where did you get introduced to cigars at, and what was the first cigar that you smoked?
You know what? I love this question, and I feel like most cigar smokers can recall very clearly that aha moment, right? Do you find that? Yeah, dude. So for me, it was we have a shop here in Boise called Sturman's Smoke Shop, and it was established in '94. So Mark, he established it, Mark Sturman, and I remember. I think it's pretty common, but I would go in once in a while. I would get the cheapest cigar I could find for a poker game, right? But then Mark was such an interesting person that I found that I would come hang out with him. And then he started to teach me about cigars. The first month, I smoked the Vega Fina.
Okay.
Yeah, so I smoked just the mild Vega Fina for the first month. And then, but that wasn't my aha moment. My aha moment was the Alec Bradley Tempest, which I literally have tattooed on my leg. So that was
really?
like, yeah, something just like clicked. And I was like, oh my God, like this is, and obviously that's not the best cigar in the world or anything. Like I've had plenty of better cigars, but it was a good intro. And yeah, that was the moment for me, man.
My
And
big one was the Diesel Sherry Cask Whiskey
Okay.
Row edition. That was my big one. I was like, ooh, that's fantastic. But anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, when was that?
I've smoked cigars. I was a cigarette smoker for 20 years. I've smoked cigars off and on 20 years. I quit smoking cigarettes and went tobacco free for about 2 months. Looked at my wife, was like, I want to smoke a cigar every now and then. So I went to the gas station, bought some cigars, some black and milds, and was like, I used to like these when I was, in my 20s every now and then. And it was awful. I remember throwing the pack away. I got online, found the cigar shop closest to me, told my wife I'm going to go buy a cigar. $75 later and 6 cigars later, I come home. She goes, thought you were just going to buy one. It's like, I did. But then I had to buy another one and another. They're all different.
I bought 6 ones. Yeah,
exactly. And so, but the one that really I loved and fell in love with, because I'm a big whiskey, bourbon, Scotch guy. So when I walked into Stag Tobacco here at in Colorado Springs, they told me about the Diesel Whiskey Row, and I'm like, oh well, I've got to buy at least one of those. And there's 2 variations. There's the Whiskey Row and the Sherry Cask. So I bought one of each.
Okay.
And after those, it was like, I'm done. Like, I'm sealed. Yeah, this is going to be where I'm at now. 100%. I actually told Justin Andrews that story, who is the blender for the overseas Diesel for General. And I was like, yeah, dude, you started my entire cigar world. Like,
it's nice to be able to do that, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but were you ever a pipe guy? Or, did you just do cigars?
Just cigars. I think at one point when I was real poor, I tried to learn pipe smoking, and I think the first time I did it, I got such bad tongue bite that I was like, I am not doing that again. So I mean, I tried, but I think that pipe smoking is such an art. I mean, you really got to know what you're doing. And I like cigars more, but yeah,
I love smoking pipes. I love smoking pipes, but I have ADD. So for me, the constant fidgeting with it, the constant pressing it down, and
it's so much. Yeah.
To me, it's like my mind is like on vacation because it's just constantly doing something. I switch it up between pipes one day, cigars the next, so on and so forth. So as you're going through, you had mentioned the owner of the company now to be as a mentor. But obviously and clearly you've had much other mentors, and with your degree in psychology and the fact that you told me you work with a men's group, what does a mentor mean to you? And when you're working in a men's group, having fellowship with them and just talking, do you ever encourage them to look for, obviously maybe not using the word mentor, but just looking for somebody to look up to in a way that the old saying, show me your closest friends and I'll show you where you'll end up.
Yeah.
Kind of that mentality.
My feeling, so I will say most of my mentors have been authors.
Okay.
We mentioned this a little before. We both grew up religious in some regard, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. So starting to really unpack my Christian background, I read everything that C.S. Lewis wrote. So I would call him one of my mentors. The irony is that he brought me out of religion because of his clarity of thought. And there was so much about the, for one, I am not against religion. If other people feed from that and it's good for them and it makes them a better person, I am all for that. I respect it so much.
Sure.
But for me, I just kept developing and learning more. And C.S. Lewis was a big part of that. He just had such a clear mind. And then through him, I got into George MacDonald a little bit, which C.S. Lewis references a lot. And then through the years, one of my major paradigm shifts, and I think I have 3 or 4 in my life, one of my major paradigm shifts was Michael Singer's book, Untethered Soul. And what I got from that book was that I had been constructing my ego, meaning constructing my preferences and desires, and I only smoke these cigars and I only read these kinds of books. And I realized that what I needed to be doing at that point in my life was deconstructing my ego, letting go of all that nonsense that ultimately limits me, limits my experience in the world and my ability to love other people. So that book really, really blew my mind. And that sort of began my journey of meditation and I don't know, man, it's been a ride. It's been a ride. Eckhart Tolle is another big one. And right now, Ram Dass is my go-to. I listen to him every day. But in terms of like mentors that are alive, I've had less alive mentors that have had as much of an impact, I suppose. Because I would say Mark Sturman at that time was his honesty. He was just such an honest, raw human being. And I admired that so much. Mark Ciccarillo has been a mentor. He's changed my life in ways that he doesn't realize. I don't think some of the ways that he changed my life weren't on purpose. It was just observing who he was and how generous and how much he gave to me, you know. And the men's group, what I'm finding so valuable is that most men do not have a platform to be honest. Most men do not. They feel the impulse to always be strong and exude strength and pretend that everything's okay. And it's okay that everything's not okay. So that's what this men's group is for, is like, hey, everyone you meet is going through something at some point. Everybody's going through something. And that's okay. That's the human condition, you know? And I think we need we need to understand that other people are okay knowing that about us and they still love us and they don't see us as less than a man or whatever paradigm we're in, you know?
Sure. No, that's interesting because I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think, could you help him with this?
Maybe not right this second, but if you want to send me a message on through the Instagram, or my email is dan@ciccarlife.com. You can
so
send
reach
me an
out
email
to
there.
him, Bruce, and he'll get you taken care of. I promise.
Yep.
I don't disagree. I think that's also where having a mentor can come in handy, because to me, a mentor is just like a one-on-one variation of you being brutally honest about yourself with somebody else. And most of my experiences with mentors have never been like, hey, you're my guy, you're my mentor. It's always like, dude, I've been talking to you like this intently for like 3 years now, like I do consider you a man. It's kind of it's like a master blender title. It's never a title that you give yourself. It's always a title that is given to you.
And if you give it to yourself, then you're not in a good spot for it.
No,
you're not in a good spot for it.
Yeah, not at all, because that is all ego.
Yep.
And you probably are lying.
Yes.
But I think you're correct when you say that, you know, men, and I think that's why a lot of guys like the lounge.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially, now, do you bring cigars into your men's group?
Yeah, it's a cigar group. Yeah.
So perfect. Like, I think that's why a lot of guys, when you go to the lounge, there'll be 30 guys in there and everyone's just kind of chatting away. I think cigars just bring people together and allow people to feel on the same plane, to feel like everybody is equal, because I can literally sit next to a doctor or a lawyer, smoke the same $12 cigar they are, have the same enjoyment they have out of it. I don't give a shit about their politics. I don't give a shit about their sports team. You know, I don't care. We're just sitting there talking. Like, cigars make you slow down.
Yeah, they do. I love that you said that, because I found this the case, especially in New York City, where you have everyone from everywhere. I'd be in my cigar lounge. There'd be a group of Hasidic Jews. There'd be Wall Street dudes. There'd be a famous athlete, and we're all together. And it's you're on an equal playing field in that scenario. Whereas had you maybe met in a different scenario, you wouldn't have given each other the time of day.
100%.
Too different.
100%. No, there's totally people where everybody judges a book by their cover. I don't give a shit who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sees with their eyes first. And unless you're completely unobservant, everybody judges, makes snap reactions. And I've been wrong. I don't know how many countless times.
I love being wrong. I do being
too.
Wrong.
Because I'm like, wow, okay. I had a totally, like, one of my closest friends, big guy, dreads literally down to almost his ankles. He's one of my closest friends. He comes to my house. He knows my wife, their friends, my neighbors. We're all friends. If I would have met him in public, I'd have been like,
nope,
probably not. But that's what I think cigars do best. Is it's a barrier breaker. Mm-hmm. It's an equal playing field. It's about this experience, not the cigar. Yes, you have the only Cuban smoking people, or you have the band smokers where they're constantly like, look at my band. And by the way, if you are one of those smokers, this device allows you to do that in even more style. Look at my band and look at my Ciccar, so like, but I don't know, that to me has always been the number one thing I've loved most about cigars, is the fact that everybody just wants to have a great time and just share an experience and have great conversation. And you get the one-offs, you get the jerks, you get the braggadocious people, but more so than not, a lot of people are just like, I just want to smoke my cigar and maybe chat about golf or something.
Yeah.
So what made you start a group like that? What made you put that together?
I didn't start it. My buddy Ricky did. He is it's hard to, any word that I'm going to say is going to label him in some regard, but he's a very insightful spiritual person. So he's done a lot of this stuff. He does life coaching, and he combines business and reality, I suppose, where, he mentors young business people that maybe, we talked about this last time, where it's like, so often we feel like we're actually kind of a fraud and everybody's going to find out at some point. And that comes out in business a lot. And It helps so much if a young person or anybody is able to be like, yeah, I feel like a fraud. I did as a photographer. I was like, somebody's going to find out that I do not belong here. You know what I mean? And then I realized everybody feels that way. So just let it go, man. Just do what you're doing. It's just gotten to where we've started sharing the leadership role, which I feel really insecure about that. Like, I don't feel like I maybe have enough to offer to be even considered a leader in that way. But I'm also saying, who cares what I think? If I have something that benefits someone else, I'm going for it. That's fine. But I'm excited about it. It feels like it fits. It fits. And it feels like, my intention is to give back to people any way that I can. And if I can give back through, my experience and the bit of wisdom that I've gained through my dedication to learning and to truth, then I want to be able to do that, because I had some hard times when people did the same thing for me. That's how it goes.
Absolutely. And to your point, when you go through those hard times, it's really those hard times that develop you. It's
Absolutely.
really it's one of the things I love about some of my mentors is I wouldn't turn them on my worst enemy. And that is the way I like my mentors. Because every single one of them, I could pick up the phone and tell them I have any amount of success, and it is a celebration. But the second I come to them with a complaint, it is all right, I'm getting bored. I've heard enough of what happened. Now tell me what's going to happen to fix it, to move forward. Well, I'm okay. Well, you've licked your wounds enough. Come on, like, put on your big boy, and to me, a men's group like that can be that honest, can be like, okay, dude, like, we've talked about this a whole lot. Like, we know we've got to get over this. Hey, Ryan, why didn't you go out and do this today? Don't give me an excuse. Just tell me you were lazy. Like, just be honest with me. The more honest I am with you are with me, the more I can actually do something for you. And I think that's what a lot of times, to your point, that's what a lot of men are the most fearful of, is I'm not the king of my castle if I admit any sort of weakness. Kings used to kill people that questioned them.
But the reality is, the reality is that it takes so much more strength and courage to be honest than to just repress everything.
Yes.
Repression's easy. Repression's a go-to. But if you are brave enough to be fucking honest, that takes real courage. And then you develop real strength and real courage.
Absolutely. And there's probably guys that you could call at certain times and they might avoid your phone call because they know you may say something that they know they need to hear, but don't. I used to do that with my dad all the time. I still catch myself doing that, but I know I've done it with mentors that have been coaching me in sales and stuff like that. And a big sale didn't come through or fell apart or something, and they want to talk to me about it. And I just avoid them for like a week. Because I'm like, I didn't want to hear what I didn't want to hear what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
And I think us as men, oftentimes that is our motto. Don't tell me what I need to hear because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to interject just a little bit because I'm done with my cigar here.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to. So what I do when I'm done is, this is another accessory. This is not ours, but I use this thing all the time. It's the perfect draw.
Yep.
Do you use this?
I have one. Yes.
It's especially if you're smoking Cubans and stuff like that, where you're like, most of them need a little touch up. But I just go ahead and you can blow it out of here, but I just poke it out, and then this is where my Cuban ended up right here.
Yeah. See, you can't nub that. Like you can't nub that with even a nub tool. You can't nub that. So Bruce said he went ahead and ordered.
Okay.
And he said, he goes, I ordered full price. Maybe you could help him out on the back end. I don't know what he's looking for. Or,
send me an email.
Or what? Send him an email, Bruce.
Send me an email.
He'll take care of you. He goes, ordered the sidecar with 5 tips. Fantastic.
Okay.
You're gonna really like it, Bruce. Trust me. I use mine all the time. But yeah, no, I commend you for that. Because I think like I was saying a while ago, and I didn't finish. I think our generation. I don't know how old you are. I'm not going to
41.
Okay, so I'm 38, so 3 years difference. So our generation, I think, was the last generation where it was like, suck it up. Seems like now things are easing up a little bit more around it's okay, but definitely our generation and previous, it was like you want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about.
Especially my dad. My
Oh,
dad really, totally. His dad was really hard on him, hugged him maybe twice before he was 20. I mean, that's brutal. My dad was great. So I got really lucky in that generation where both of my parents were warm, loving, affectionate, supportive, you know. So that's what's interesting about the men's group is that I'm actually not used to a lot of repression, a masculine repression, because I don't have it, but I'm seeing that most people do. And so maybe that's a way that I can help a little more because I haven't had as much of that. You know what I mean?
Well, no, that's awesome, and I commend you for it. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your personal side.
Yeah.
Because I think the more people feel like they know you, they can connect with you. Oh my gosh, he's just a regular guy. He actually goes and helps out other people. He's not this multi-millionaire living in these mansions, sitting back and smoking cigars all day. There's a connection there, and I love bringing that connection out. Making everybody feel like a down-to-earth person, I think, helps the business over you feeling like you're untouchable. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And I don't want that anyway. I mean, anytime you're on a pedestal, you're only going to fall off, right? So I'd rather just be ground level, and it's the human condition, man. We're all in it together.
No, absolutely. Very true. Very true. So I want to kind of talk about some of another form of artwork that you seem to really love. It looks like you have 2 full sleeves.
Yeah.
So
I love tattoos.
A chest plate?
No, I've got my back is done, and my stomach, ribs. I'm saving it for whenever that's time, but I want to do the chest and the neck all at once.
Oh man, I want one tattoo in my life, and it's a family brand. We used to run cattle back in the 1800s, and the brand is still alive. It's still trademarked. We keep it up. It's only $5 for 20 years. So it's not like it's expensive.
So it's still the pricing that it was in the 1800s.
Well, only because it's a non-working brand. It's considered an antique brand. So it's like an antique car plate for your car.
Yeah.
They cost a little bit less, but you can't drive them as much. We couldn't actually use this brand anymore. It's not registered in that sense. But my dad keeps telling me, I'll just put a blowtorch around it and we'll just, and I'm scared to death of needles. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that either. It doesn't sound like a pleasant experience either.
I have not been branded. Oh, baby. Branding would be,
oh, it'd be terrible. It'd be terrible. Mm-hmm. I used to have some friends that did the lighter smileys, with the Bic lighters. And we actually had to pull one out of my buddy's arm. My friend held it on there too long, and his skin seared around it a little bit. So we pulled it, and that little metal cap stuck in his arm. So we actually had to grab pliers and pull. It probably took what felt like 6 months to heal. I mean, it was bad.
I'm not that crazy, man.
So what do you have? So do you have, is everything mean something? Or do you have like stuff that you just like the way it looks?
My progression has been, when I first started, it had to be really, really meaningful. As I started to get more tattoos, I started to be more open to art for the sake of art. Now there's still meaning behind it. So my hands I got done in New York by Micallef Anderson, really good artist. But hold on, everything's backwards for me. There we go.
Okay, hummingbird, very nice.
So this represents the beauty of existence. To me, our current form has so much extravagant beauty in it. It's not just about utility, right? So this is more about the idea of space, that we live in space. This one, the eye of time. So everything has, something like that going on. But I got to
Very
where
good
like
artwork though.
I would rather just find a good artist and let them loose a little bit. Yeah, than try to control it too much.
No, yarbs are massive, so they got a lot of room. You definitely clearly work out. I'm over here like, don't show my gut when I'm sitting down. Hey,
It's just one of
more
those.
in the cigar world are built like me than you.
I just, I think honestly, it's more about, it was at the very beginning, it was about ego, right? Then it became more about mental health because I just needed to do it. And if I had a lot of depression for a long time, but working out was something that I always did. So it just was, and once you're doing it for 10 or 15 years, you're just going to keep doing it,
Yeah, well, what do they say? If you do something for 3 months every day for 3 months, it's now a habit.
With working out, I say a year because
a year.
working out's really hard. And I think it's this cost benefit ratio where when you first start, you're like, shit, I'm just sore. Like I don't feel good and I don't look any different. So why would I keep doing this? But you have to it's one day at a time, you keep going, and then you start to see results.
No, people could always just go get the injections and the implants and get the results right away, right?
The synthol? Yeah, that looks good. Yeah.
Oh man, I saw that guy. He's up here. Oh, it looked so gross. Oh, the synthol sounds so close to Lysol. I'd be scared.
It's so bad for you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. So, and taking here the last about 40 minutes of the show here, I want to kind of ask a little bit different style of questions. What does Daniel do when Daniel's not Ciccar Life?
Oh God. What do I do? I mean, I'm gonna be honest, and I feel like it's gonna sound weird, maybe, but like I've started to do a lot more meditation. I've just been digging. I've been digging deep and discovering a lot of freedom. And so I'm spending, it's not an extraordinary amount of time. Like I might meditate 30 minutes a day, smoking cigars, doing my photography stuff. We just moved into this house that we're in. So a lot of time has been just getting everything set up here. My brother, he just bought a house and we've been doing the yard and stuff. It's just been an insane project. So this summer has been super busy. Most summers here in Idaho, I end up doing a lot of camping and backpacking, and but I've only been up once this year. And then Mark's got a boat and jet skis and stuff, so we'll do that on occasion. And then just a lot of hanging out with cigar dudes. Do you do fantasy football?
Dude, I have what I like to say. I have 5 jobs. The only fantasy I have is just being with my family. I don't have time for fantasy football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, and to be very honest with you, I just don't. I'm finding at 38, the more I put in, the more I forget. So if I put in all the stats and everything, I would be afraid that I would absolutely forget about some other facet that I've learned. And so just because I feel like I'm pushing like full capacity and I have a massive head. So like that says a lot.
What other jobs do you have going on?
Well, my family, my full-time job, this podcast, I run a charity, and I have a bacon company.
Oh yeah, the bacon company. Can we talk about you?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, tell me about the bacon company.
So it's Rocky Mountain Gourmet Bacon. You can go to baconfix.com. Bruce has actually bought it a few times now. And it was an accident. It was never meant to be anything other than I hate store-bought bacon and I just couldn't eat it anymore because you're like, oh, yay, buy a full pound of bacon. You end up with like 3 ounces by the time you cooked it all.
Yeah.
Found out that store-bought bacon is absolutely disgusting for you. In every way that it's made.
I like Bruce.
I like Bruce too. Bruce
Yeah.
is a constant. If Bruce was not on the show, I would be nervous.
Yeah.
But I found out that essentially store-bought bacon's a giant freaking sponge. So much so that they just put caramel color back into the bacon to make it look smoked. That's why when you look at the ingredients, it's 30 ingredients long with at the very end it says caramel color. Because the way store-bought bacon is made is it's essentially submerged in a brine solution for 3 days. Well, what happens when you submerge meat? It leaches the color out. So they got to put the color back in somehow. It's like salmon. Salmon's not that pink. By the time it gets to they put a food coloring on that in the packaged salmon, oftentimes to make it look pinker.
Huh. All right.
And our bacon's got 5 ingredients: thyme, brown sugar, maple syrup, kosher salt, pepper. Sorry, 6. And 5 flavored ingredients, and then the curing salt. That's it.
That's great, man.
We do a 7-day cure, so we actually pull the liquid out. Our bacon hardly shrinks.
Wow. So how are you distributing it? Are you in stores at all? Or are you doing online or what?
I don't want to be in stores. That's a whole nother shitload of regulations.
Yeah.
I could go direct to consumer as long as I'm using a USDA stamped product, and we use Berkshire pork.
All right.
So the Wagyu, Berkshire Duroc is like the Wagyu of pork.
That's cool.
And so I ship it everywhere. It comes thawed and not cold, and that's 100% fine. It's by design. I never would tell anybody to do this, but I've actually left it out for 30 days and ate it, and it was completely safe. I would never recommend, nor disclaimer, do not do that. I did that for product testing purposes for shipping. Because I didn't want
so you just doing the US?
Yeah, because you start going international with food, now you're opening yourself up for litigation left and right. So we ship every state in the country. And in the first 3 weeks of opening the doors, we sold out of 3 months of product.
Dude, that's nice when that happens, huh?
Yeah. Now the problem comes is we kind of have to shit or get off the pot. So now we actually have to go and start looking for a private equity firm to kind of bring in some additional funding, so that way we can really kick this thing off the way it needs to. But yeah, and then I just eventually started giving it out to family and friends, and finally, Abe, a very good mentor of mine over at smoking.com or Smoking Cigars in Boynton Beach, Florida.
Oh yeah, I know Abe. Yep.
Yeah, he was finally like, I want more, but I'm going to pay you for it. What do I pay you? I'm like, I don't know. I just made it. I just sent you a slab of bacon. Like, it would literally just show up in a 10-pound slab. That's how it would just ship.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's you cut awesome. It yourself. Here's the bacon. So he actually had to drive all around to try to find the store that would even cut it. So yeah, now we've got a lot of orders going out. We just did 250 pounds a couple weeks ago, and we're selling through it like crazy. So yeah, it's just kind of fun, and I want it to be something more than what it is, which is why we're in a position now where we have proof of concept, we have the ability to move forward, we have the ability to get bigger, but I'm kind of at max of what my partner and I can do.
I mean, I never know. Mark Ciccarello, he gets his hands in all kinds of stuff, so might be worth talking to him about it, and I know he loves bacon, so
let's set that up, man. I would have no problem talking about it with him. I'm looking for that help. I've been a business consultant for 20 years, and I'm finding out that I really don't know how to run the business as much as I know how to give the advice on how to do certain fixes inside of a business. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So I'm finding that my own knowledge is kind of stagnant right now. And
yeah, it's theory versus practice. Yeah.
Correct. And it's a completely different beast. It's why,
Yeah.
you talk to some CEOs and they're like, hey, listen, I specialize in getting you $10 million. I'm not very good at getting you over 10 million, but I'll get you to 10 million because I'm a startup CEO. And then you got to go for the CEO to take you from 10 to 100. And then there's the CEO that takes you from 100 to whatever the fucking number it is you feel like going to after that. So there's just so much behind the scenes stuff that I just don't fully understand. And it's been fun. It's been fun learning.
Oh, it's such a learning experience. Yeah.
It's awesome, man. What's one of the biggest things that you learned in doing this that was kind of an eye-opener for you?
You know what's been nice about this is just having partners. As a photographer, I was just alone. Every decision was on my own. There was no consultation. There was no collaboration. And I'm a collaborator. I'm built for it. So what's been really nice about this is not having everything on my shoulders and having two partners that really know what they're doing. And then also watching them occasionally butt heads about the right direction to go. Whereas you can kind of say like, well, you're both right, but you also need to see, because we thought we would just pile into stores. The problem with in-store is that if the owner or the manager, whoever is there, isn't intimate with the cigar, they're not going to sell. They're going to kind of sit there and people are going to be kind of curious, but it's not a product that you just look at and immediately know what to do with it.
No, I agree.
So, yeah, like we were talking about before about the affiliate program, it's like this is a way to people get the education as well. So, yeah. So, I mean, just learning about how to structure a company and it's fascinating stuff, man.
So what's one thing different from running your own outside of having partners, but as far as like conceptually running your own business in the photography world to this?
I feel like they're so different. It's hard to answer that question. I felt like I was just like, I was out in a boat without a rudder as a photographer. I did. And this has structure and trial and error and adjustments, and it's all so linear. Organized.
It's more
linear. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Your photography world was kind of maybe it's a 2 a.m. photography, I'm shooting till 2 a.m. for a party, and then I sleep till 10 a.m. the next day because I didn't get home until 4. And this is much more probably structurally driven to where maybe you're now up at 6, you work out, you work from 8 to 3 or 8 to 4 or whatever, and it probably gives you a little bit more of that sense of stability.
So much more stability, and I like the accountability too. Yeah,
I mean, like as accountability. And let me rephrase that. The number one thing I hear from most business owners is I do what I want when I want. Now that's the biggest fucking lie of every business owner that they ever say. They do that because their ego won't let them actually admit that they work 80, 90 hours a week and they have sleepless nights, but everything's going great and I get to take all the time off I want. I just don't take the time off. So going from running your own thing to a partnership, what was that transformation like for you? What was that mindset change like?
I like the clarification in the roles, because if I occasionally get questions that I can't answer, I have somebody, I'm like, hey, email Dustin. He's going to have the answer to that question. Oh, it's about shipping? Email Dustin or Tyson. If you want to know maybe conceptually where we're headed in the future, talk to Mark. And it's nice to have that. In terms, I'm just team oriented, I suppose. I like having other people doing stuff and collaborating with them, and that's part of what I love about this kind of stuff too.
That's why you work out. Probably you probably got a gym buddy. You probably got a few guys you out with. You see each other. It's that camaraderie. It's the whole world. It's Atlas, right? But instead of being Atlas, you have 2 more Atlases helping you, and it's not such a mental drain.
Working out's a good illustration for it, because I work out alone often, but I work out way harder when my partner's around. He's on a trip. He's back on the 11th, but I do so much better. You know what I mean? I think everybody does.
Well,
I
you
work
guys
out
shit
harder.
talk each other.
I get my sets done.
Yeah, you shit talk each other. I'm going to throw an extra 25 on. Let's see what you can do. You know,
let's see if you can pop a muscle. Yeah.
Yeah. What were your deadlifts today? You know, I mean, come on. That's part of that camaraderie to it. So, what do you think people misunderstand about you the most when they first meet you to when they get to know you?
I think the feedback that I've gotten a lot is when people see me before they talk to me. And I don't know what the impression is here, but they're like, okay, he's a meathead, maybe. Probably doesn't have much depth. Probably doesn't have a ton of intelligence. You know, that's sort of the feedback that I've gotten. And I've had some people be like, I was straight up intimidated by you when I first met you. And then you're a big fucking teddy bear. Giving everybody hugs, you know, which it's funny, man.
No, I shaved. I had a goatee when I was younger, and my wife said, "You have such hardcore resting bitch face. Like you look angry even when you're smiling with your goatee." So I'm like, "Well, I'll shave it off," and that just looked awful in every way. It looked like I was 10. And so I was like, "I'll grow the beard," and I actually was reading a few different sales books around facial hair and appearance. And literally they said goatees naturally look like, because I was going door to door at the time. So that's the type of book. So I'm going door to door to people's houses. So like it's a little
I want to hear more about that, but yeah, go ahead.
So when I was doing this and I was looking into this, from all the surveys and sales studies that they did on appearance, tattoos, piercings, facial hair, they found that beard and clean shaven are actually taken the most jolliest of ways because of Santa Claus and you're clean shaven.
I like jolly, yeah.
Yeah, they literally they were like you it's a gregarious look for a lot of people is the beard. They're like, "Oh, he's going to be the life of the party."
Yeah.
And then the goatee was synonymous for like angry. And it was the way it shaped the mouth, and it was the way it made the mouth look like you weren't smiling even though you were. And mine was big and bushy, so like it covered everything. And so right then and there, I remember looking over at my now wife, and I was like, "I think I'm gonna grow a beard. Are you okay with it?" She goes, "Oh, absolutely. Let's do the beard. I like that." She was all now. If I shaved it, she's out the door. I mean, I'm getting it. I'm on the couch until it comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where I started growing the beard, and I want it to be about here personally, but I'm stuck about here for the last year.
So that picture that I sent you that you asked me to send you, yeah, my beard used to be like at one point it was all the way down here. I miss it. It's just it also annoyed. I liked how it looked. It also just annoyed me after a while. But I would always do that where I would grow it. I would grow it for like 2 years and then shave it off for a couple of years, and I'll probably grow it again. But I also found that at that particular time in my life, I had sort of an identity attachment to it after a while, where it was like a, I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same concept of having your child never see you clean shaven, and then your first time your kid sees you clean shaven, they start to cry. They're scared. They don't understand. It's fear. They don't recognize you, even though they know your voice. They don't recognize you. I think it's the same. You don't recognize yourself.
Yeah, I think that in New York, the beard brought a lot of positive attention. So I think I just got used to feeding off of that a little bit. But with my niece, I probably shaved it off 2 years ago, but she was at a stage where like, even if I got a beard trim, she would scream and cry. Like she hated it. So I actually kept the beard for a long time just because I didn't want to do that to her, you know, but it was adorable and sad, you know, like, no, it's still me.
No, I love it. I stopped fighting the fact that my hair didn't like me anymore. So I just got rid of it. I was like, the hell with it. It's totally fine. but if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
You know, I'm going to talk about Mark again, brag him up a little bit. Twice now, he is paid for me to join him in Europe. So the first time, it was such a shocking situation, but he's like, "Hey, you want to go to Italy?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, we're going to go for 3 weeks." I was like, "Awesome." He's like, "I'm going to give you 10,000 euros and you can spend it any way that you want. But if you run out, I'm not giving you more. And if you have more when you're done, you got to give it back to me." I still don't know why he did it, but I spent 10,000 euros in Italy. And like I said, I've been a starving artist. I've never made a bunch of money. And that was just such a surreal, odd situation. So all that to say, though, is Italy is amazing. His family is from Sicily. So we spent like 10 days in Sicily, back in this town, Cefala Diana, where they hadn't seen an American in 7 years. And the American that they had saw 7 years ago was Mark's sister. So we were like celebrities, like people. I've got a model, and I think she's Italian, Irina Shake. So super famous there. So they knew that I photographed her somehow. People literally like knew where we were, and strangers showed up to see us. It was the weirdest feeling. And then last year we went to the Intertabac show, and then we traveled Germany, hit 3 or 4 cities, went down to Austria, Switzerland, and then ended in Barcelona. So to answer your question, Barcelona, Spain is pretty incredible, and I could see myself living there for a couple of years. But other than that, I love to surf, so something tropical would be nice. Spent a lot of time in the Dominican Republic, and I love Dominican people. They're some of the kindest people. Made friends with a family down there. So I haven't visited for a few years, but they're really good people.
I am the biggest baby around the ocean.
You don't like it?
I go into the ocean up to my chest, and here's how I define that. I go up to my knees and I sit down. Mm-hmm. Now I'm chest level in the ocean, and I am
the ocean is powerful and terrifying and beautiful. And when I was in college, I took the beginning of my sophomore year, that first semester, we went to Hawaii, and so I learned to surf there. I just surfed every day, and it was beautiful and terrifying, and big waves, and I almost drowned once, and it's good, dude. I love surfing.
It was good.
It was good.
Once. It was great.
Yeah.
It's like
There's nothing like a near-death experience, man.
No, I've been in near-death experiences, in all of them of situations I put myself in.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
My wife loves the backpacking. That's not for me. I always told her, if we hit the lottery, I'll take a helicopter, and you guys can just walk up. I'll take your backpacks up in the helicopter. We'll land at the top. I'll have the whole camp, and I'll even break it all down and meet you at the bottom. It doesn't. And I live in Colorado, but I like hunting. I like hunting.
So it's not the hiking part.
No, it's I can't go there just to ooh and ah at a mountain for 3 days and walk 7 miles.
Oh, I can. I love it. I'd
rather go to shoot an elk or a moose or a bear or some other wild game. Now I have a job. I'm not just walking 7 miles for pleasure with a 30-pound pack. I'm walking for meat. I'm walking to do something. But my friends, my neighbors, my business partner love it. And they're super kind enough to take my wife with them.
Well, that's good
when they go. So it works out great. We have daddy-daughter weekend, and she goes backpacking. So it's fantastic.
How old is she?
2.
Is it your only child?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can make this show up.
Oh my God. Yeah, she's adorable.
Yeah, don't ask me how It's got
Wow.
nothing to do with me.
Wow.
It's got nothing to do with me. But I feel bad for some kid because I know this sounds so bad. So bad. Part of me is gonna be a little happy the first boy she crushes. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm gonna go, know what you want and know your worth.
I 100% agree. And I cannot imagine, like, as a man, you know how men and boys think. And then raising a daughter and knowing that you can't do anything about it. She has to make her own decisions and hope to God she knows what's going on, you know?
So here's something for you as a psychology major with a degree in psychology. I've actually put this together over the last year and a half. I was a shit growing up. Most of my friends were terrible growing up. They're all great dads. They all have daughters, and their daughters all love them like crazy. And their daughters, as they got, I want a dad. I want to marry somebody just like my daddy. You know, as nice as my. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you made your daddy nice when you were born. Like, your dad instantly went, "Oh shit, she can't marry someone like me. I got to be better than I was." Do you think that's like a valid understanding of how guys with daughters are like? It clicks, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I got to change."
I hope so. I hope that that's what happens. I know it doesn't happen for everybody. But it's funny to see, I mean, I'm sure you know some people that before they have kids, you're like, dear God, I hope they don't have kids because they are going to be the worst parents. And then they have a kid and something just clicks for them. And it just, I don't know what that is. I'm glad that happens. It's fun to see. I definitely have some friends that I was like, please don't have children. And then they do. And then they're like, oh, I'm like, oh, good. Like, you're pretty good at that. That's all right. You know?
Let's see what Bruce says. Oh, yes, Bruce. I'm not hunting you, the animal elk. So let's see. I thank God all the time that my kids are better than yes.
That's what we can hope for, man.
Absolutely. And right. Yeah. I mean, that's really the generational build, is that you always try to be better than the generation before. And
in our family, we've gotten very lucky in that both of my parents came out of really difficult childhoods. Not the most difficult. They weren't severely abused or anything like that, but my mom grew up with 6 other siblings. My grandpa at that time was really checked out. And so they were just like, she was an adult at 8 years old. You know what I mean? And you're talking the 60s, 70s. So she got through her drug phase by the time she was 14. And that is growing up too fast.
No, that's grown up way too fast. But back then, a lot of kids went through that.
Yeah. And now she is a truly magnificent human being. She's one of my best friends. She's incredible. So I got really lucky. And my dad too.
Yeah, and now all the kids are wrapped in bubble wrap before they get on a bike. And my dad would be like, let them fall. Let them fall. Yeah. Touch that hot stove. Go ahead. You'll only do it once.
And then my sister has 4 kids. So I have 3 siblings. I'm the oldest. My sister's the only one with kids, and she has 4 of them. And the way that she and her husband, David, are parenting is incredible. Where this summer, my dad had a construction job way up in the mountains of Idaho building a cabin. And my nephews went with him for a large portion of it. They're literally just back in the middle of nowhere. They're running around. They're shooting stuff, eating random animals. Like, that stuff I think is so important. I don't care about the killing part. I'm just saying, like, to get out there, use a power tool, like hammer a nail. And you're going to get, hopefully, you're not going to be so physically damaged that it wasn't worth the experience, but like, there needs to be exposure.
Absolutely. No, totally. I absolutely agree with you on that. So I want to kind of ask here in closing some random lightning round style questions. what's your favorite size cigar?
54 ring gauge.
By how long?
Oh, I don't care about that as much. Probably 54 by 6 though.
Okay, so Toro, Grand Toro, but you're okay
Yeah.
with Churchill.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, but it's more important to you that it's the ring size.
Yeah, 50 to 54.
What's your cut?
All. I like literally right now, I'm using a razor blade and just taking the top off.
Straight cut.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and then I've got, a V cut here. I don't know. I just use use them all. Yeah, I love that. I love that, dude.
Yours is a lot more worn than mine, but
oh, mine's trashed. Yeah.
it still cuts great though.
Yep.
So what is your favorite pairing of drink with cigar?
Okay. I would say a Highland Park 18 year if I'm paying for it. And if I'm not, Mark ends up having just he had like a 20-year stag bourbon. That was one of the greatest things I've ever. It's like $2,500 a bottle. Yeah. That with maybe a decently aged, let's say a Lost City.
Okay. So going with the Opus line.
I love Fuente. Yeah.
What is your favorite wrapper? You give me musician and cigar wrapper, or just cigar wrapper, up to you.
Oh, I don't have a favorite cigar wrapper. Kendrick Lamar's last album I thought was brilliant.
Okay. I could go with you on that. So when you pick up a cigar, are you normally like a Maduro, Habano, Connecticut, or do you just pick up anything and smoke it based on your mood?
Mood for sure, but I'm definitely gonna. Usually, it's just gonna be a natural wrapper, medium to full typically, but that also depends on the quality. Like sometimes you get into a cheaper full-bodied cigar, and it's just it's not balanced. It's just like a punch in the face. Like eating Thai food in Thailand. It's like there's no flavor left, right? So if it's a really good cigar, fuller bodied, fantastic. Mid-range, probably medium body.
Have you tried the Micallef Black yet?
Yes, I smoked so many of those
at the PCA.
At the PCA, they were right next to us.
So good,
dude. Yeah,
so good.
And I had never heard of them before. Yeah, so good.
Oh yeah. Oh, Micallef's one of. I mean, outside of being they were one of my favorite brands long before I approached them to partner with me on the show. Every brand behind me is brands I smoke on the daily.
You know what I didn't try is the Big Sky.
Dude,
how is that?
Good. Love Big Sky. They just finished their River series with the Blackfoot. Everything's based out of Montana. And it is an amazing cigar. And I think it would be up your alley from the standpoint of even their fuller bodied stuff is still a solid medium plus. Nothing, at least my palate, rings to a full body like an Espinosa, where you're just like a L'Orange Azulejo, something like that. They're all, yes, and you could become an ambassador if you go with Micallef. They send you the coins and everything. It's great.
Oh, that's cool.
But they make their cigars to smoke while fishing. So obviously they don't want you smoking something unbelievably heavy. Yeah. But very, very good cigars. They have a Mad Minnow, which was awesome. It's a tiny little one, 40-minute smoke. Very good, stronger.
I like having those on hand. I like having some smaller sticks on hand for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the strongest one they make, I think.
Okay. Have you had the Apostate line?
I know that name.
That's one of the smaller. That's one of the boutique labels that I really like, and also I know those guys pretty well, and I really like them.
Yes, I think I've had one of those. Can't fully sit there and tell you that I remember the experience, but that usually means it was good, because I can tell you the cigars I don't like.
Yeah, for sure. There are They only have one cigar that I don't like, which is the Candela. But I think I just don't like Candelas.
Okay.
I've never had a Candela that I like, but I've only had 4 or 5.
The number 1 rated Candela is Illusione's Holy Lancer.
Okay.
It's a Lancero Candela.
Okay.
If you could find it, it'll change your opinion. The other really, really good Candela, I think you don't like Candela because they feel very ultralight.
Mm-hmm.
The Illusione,
and kind of green.
Yeah, but see, I like that sweetness because you got to understand the original cigars were Candelas.
Yeah.
When Adams from the original Adams family in the 50s, if they converted that to color, his cigar is green.
Okay.
Because it takes so long to cure that they would just do a 3-4 day cure and then roll your cigars. So a lot of cigars back in the day were Candelas.
Okay.
But the Holy Lancer is an unbelievable Lancero Candela that's got a nice body to it. It's medium minus. The Espinosa Wasabi is another really good one. It's definitely got some pepper, some spice to it. I would say medium body as well.
Okay.
A lot of Candelas are going to be on the milder format, though.
So the other label that I want to shout out is Don Doroteo. Have you had a Don Doroteo yet?
Not even heard of them.
They debuted at PCA last year, and we were close to them. And you know how PCA or shows are, like you get so many cigars that you've never heard of that, you know, you're kind of smoking through them and your expectations are low. The Don Doroteo blew my mind. So the first blend, they have a whole story and they're really worth looking up. It's a really good story. And they're really also really, really good people. I really like them. But what they launched with was age 17 years. And it was magic. And then they just launched a couple more cigars called Salt of the Earth. And there's 2 blends. And even they're aged around 8 years, I believe. Also just a banger. And I was worried for them because if you start out with a cigar that high quality and limited that they can't reproduce it, then what are you going to do from there? And they figured it out, man. So
there's a lot of Cigar Clowns is another one that does limited runs only. Ezra Zion. Okay. There's cigar companies out there that make their bang off of limited run onlys, but they have a huge following. So when Cigar Clowns, which is an amazing cigar company, when the Cigar Clowns release something, it's gone in a couple hours. And they'll release 1,000 bundles, 600 bundles, and they're gone.
Cigar Clown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Good luck finding their stuff.
Okay.
Most of the time, it's a fight to get it. And if you find it, go ahead.
Well, do you feel like it's the type of cigar that people are buying and then holding on to and like aging and reselling, or
I don't
is it on that level?
Aging and reselling. I think they're buying as much of it as they can, but Clowns only come out with one line and then it's done. Okay. So you'll get people that maybe buy 10 bundles of it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So they sell quick. They have a huge cult following and they sell fast. But Cigar Clowns, really, really great guys. Ray over there is a fantastic guy, good friend. And so is Joe. And no, they're a lot of fun. Definitely check them out. They're a really, really great boutique company. And you can go to their website, and when they launch stuff, you can get on their mailing list, and they'll tell you when they release it. And if you're not there right away, you're not getting it.
Okay.
But yeah. So, well, I tell you what, man. Thank you so much, dude, for coming on the show. I hope this was fun. I hope this was something different.
Oh, it's amazing, man. Thank you.
Experience than maybe you've done before, and. I always find it fun to go down rabbit holes, and I really appreciate your openness and your honesty going down some of the rabbit holes with me, and truly appreciate you. It was a pleasure to meet you at TGS. I'm sure you're going to be back there next year.
Yep.
I hope so. And I hope TGS was a great event for you this last year.
It was. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It was great. Yeah.
I know I didn't see much product left. That you looked like you guys didn't leave with a whole lot. So
Our
definitely,
biggest problem was we didn't have enough people to sell as much. We had a line of 15 or 20 people most of
I
the
know.
time.
I
It
came
was
up a couple
wild,
of times to be
dude.
introduced to you, and I was like, Vince, I'm not going to sit here and cut lines just to talk to the guy when he's working and selling. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's why we came
So
back when you guys were packing up. But no, this was an absolutely fantastic cigar accessory. I think it's leaps and bounds more fun, better looking, and is a better experience than a punch or than a punch than uh, uh, a poker
pick.
of any kind,
Yep.
a pick of any kind. It doesn't damage the cigar. It actually saves the cigar most of the time, which is an opposite to what this accessory has ever done in the history. So, you know, I really appreciate you coming on. You have an absolutely fantastic product. Everybody check out Ciccar Life, CICCARLIFE.com. Let me throw it up here at the bottom. I know Bruce had it somewhere. Here we go. Check them out. Definitely, if you're in the market for some fun accessories, or if you're the cigar guy that has every accessory and has not heard of them yet, definitely buy this one, because I have a feeling this will change how you use the accessories that you currently own, and maybe will not be using some that you use now with this accessory. So, Dan, you take us out. Tell everybody why to choose you and how to find you.
Instagram, Ciccar Life. Instagram, Ciccar Life. That's where I am personally. You can send me a message. Happy to chat. If you buy one and then you have questions about it afterwards, happy to field those as well. Website, ciccarlife.com. Enjoy.
Fantastic. He is way too modest to say it, but I will. Everybody, stop smoking your cigars by putting a hole into it. Smoke your cigars by putting a mouthpiece on it that looks nice, feels great, and is perfectly balanced in the mouth, has a great bite to it. Jump on to Ciccar Life and buy yourself the best cigar accessory that you will own. I promise you. Till we all see you again, smoke what you like, smoke as often as you can, and have a great rest of your night. Bye, everyone. Take care.
All right. Thanks, brother. Have a good one, guys.